As promised, I said I was going to come on at 7 o'clock tonight and talk a little bit about Dan McClellan. And I might title this broadcast, Who's Lying to Us? And we're going to set the record straight tonight. So we're going to wait till 7 o'clock in case some people want to join. My name is Phil Dixon. I go by Phil S. Dixon. I'm a baseball historian. Been out here doing history on the Negro Baseball League for over 45 years. And guys, I'm here tonight to set the record straight, and we're going to learn. Look, I started to put on another hat, but hey, I guess we're talking about Dan McClellan, so this is my monarch cap, so the M can be for McClellan tonight, because we're going to set the record straight on Dan McClellan. So when we got a few more minutes to 7:58, let a few people join, and then we'll go from there. So, yep, so we're going to set the record straight, so I'm just kind of looking and doing some things, trying to figure out exactly where I want to start on Dan McClellan. But yeah, so we're almost there. We've got a couple minutes though. Hope everybody's doing fine tonight. And it's a Friday night. In the background, I've got the Yankees and the Red Sox playing. So I've been watching that game and just preparing myself to come in and talk to you tonight about some baseball history. So I think I've got a few more minutes, 7:59 now, so I'll start here momentarily. So yeah, I do want to thank everyone for joining this evening, and hopefully this will be something that you will find enlightening, and this will enlighten you on what you're looking at when it comes to Black baseball facts and baseball history, as it basically pertains to the Negro Baseball League. So we want to get some things straight. So I'm on here 2:13, and when it gets to 3 minutes, I'm going to go ahead in because that should be 7 o'clock. So, okay. So, just got a few more minutes. So I do once again want to thank everybody for joining, and I'm just going to hit a few things. Now, I'm going to probably, after I end this broadcast, I'm probably going to come back with another This Day in Black Baseball History, which would be a separate one. This broadcast right here is going to be all about setting the record on Dan McClellan and some of this bad garbage we have out here that they're trying to sell us on. That saying these are his statistics. They're not his statistics at all. So, all right, 254, 55, 56, 57, 58. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm Phil Dixon, and I'm a Black baseball historian, and tonight we're going to talk about Dan McClellan, lefty Dan McClellan. And I want you to know some interesting things about Dan McClellan, because I was looking online. As a matter of fact, I'm looking here right now on Seam Heads. And Seam Heads has, I'm going to bend over here, so I'm just go off the camera for just a second here. Yeah. In 1905, they have 2 wins for Dan McClellan. Now, the guy plays the entire season, you give him 2 wins. What is that all about? First of all, it is very misleading. And let me tell you how some of the history arrived at this point. Was, last year, I guess 2020, started the process of merging the Negro League statistics with the Major League statistics. So notice the Negro League. The Negro League started in 1920. And so that is the statistic that they started to merge. Now, in 1920, there was a Negro National League, consisted of 8 teams in the West, 1920. Now, they did add some other leagues to it, the Eastern Colored League. They also add the North East-West League, and then later on, the Negro National League in the East and the Negro American League. So they added statistics from leagues, and that's real key. So the leagues had their league games that they played in the league. So they used those games only. They did not use any games that were played outside of the league. So for instance, any barnstorming games that were played regionally against any other teams that were not in the league, those were not used. I think they did use some that were associate members of the leagues. I think the Baccarat Giants were associate members of the Negro National League in 1922. I think it was 22, and Hilldale was as well. So they did use a few of those, but the key word is league. So now when we're looking at Dan McClellan, and I want to really spotlight it on Dan McClellan, and I could do this on numerous other players. So I'm looking at 1905 because I've been working on, this is the book I put out, and I'm working on a revision just to bring everything up to date because I'm seeing all this history out here that I just can't get with. So in 1905, there was no league. Did you catch that? There was no Negro League in 1905. So the Philadelphia Giants, who were probably the best team of probably from 1900 to 19 maybe 08 or somewhere in there, the 1905 Philadelphia Giants, which Saul White said was the best team, right? They did not participate in a league in 1905. So unlike the 1920s, when you have the Negro National League, which Andrew Root Foster was the president, there is no league in 1905. So what they did was they went out and took the games that Dan McClellan pitched against other black teams. And of course, he only pitched 2 games against the Brooklyn Royal Giants. They played a series, right? So they discounted everything else the man did. And I'm telling you, that disturbs me to no end because what they're doing is misleading everyone. And I wish that some people from Seamheads or somebody, even Baseball Reference, would chime in and try to explain, why are you doing this to African-American baseball history? So tonight, we're going to set the record straight. And I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. First of all, okay, so if you go online, right, I got my other computer right here, right? Got my other computer right here. Okay, so we got Dan McClellan. He's got 1905 with the Philadelphia Giants. Actually, they have him with 4 wins. And okay, so you have that. Now, I'm not sure which games they used. So I'm going to go through Dan McClellan's season, all right? So first thing I want to do is I want to go to tell you who Dan McClellan was. He was an outstanding left-handed pitcher, one of the premier left-handed pitchers in black baseball right at the turn of the century. When I think of left-handed pitchers, right in that little period, of course, Pat Doherty with the Chicago Lillian Giants was outstanding as well. But we got Dan McClellan. And very important, we have Dan McClellan. July 17, 1903, Dan McClellan, he was pitching for the Cuban ex-Giants at that time. He no-hit the York, Pennsylvania team, and they were called the Penn Park team, all right? He finished with 5 strikeouts in the Giants' 5-0 victory, right? 5-0 victory, he shut them out. Pitched a perfect game. As far as we know, that's the first recorded perfect game pitched by an African-American pitcher. And Saul White recorded that. And of course, I've been to York and been where the field was, and I've recorded it myself and through going through newspapers. And actually, when I did this was like 1992. There's no newspapers online. I had to go to York, Pennsylvania and go through the records. And so I was there in York, there with Leon Day. We were there for a couple of days, and while I was there, I did research, okay, 1992. So that's Dan McClellan, just to give you a little bit of background on him. In 1905, he joins the Philadelphia Giants, okay? Now, what I want to tell you about 1905, I'm going here because I have some records I've kept on Dan McClellan. Let me jump here, and I'll go, because you might find these interesting, okay? All right, so remember, he's the only lefty on the staff. So you got 3 main pitchers. And these guys are going to play a lot of baseball throughout the summer. So you got Root Foster, all right? Root Foster finished the year with 394 total innings. That's what I've been able to compile for him. Emmett Bowman finished the year with 427 total innings, all right? Dan McClellan pitched 363 innings, total innings. Now, how did the guy get 4 wins out of 363 innings? You trying to tell me he lost all those games or he never played them? Of course, in the record here, they said he's 4-0. Okay, so we know that he pitched a lot of innings, okay? In addition to that, let me go down and show you something else. Because Dan McClellan was one of the best hitting pitchers. So I'm going to pull this up because I also recorded this as well. Let me go over here and I'm going to pull it up. And I can tell you what he did with his hitting, okay? All right, let's go here. I'm almost there. Just hang on with me, okay? Okay, let's see. I'm almost there. Dan McClellan. Dan McClellan. Probably should have pulled it up, but all right, so we almost there. So Dan McClellan, he was quite the hitter too, and was always a good hitter. And be honest with you, for a guy who's doubling up pitching and hitting and all this, you're talking about somebody who was really good. Dan McClellan might be able to get in the Hall of Fame on his hitting alone. So anyway, I'm looking at that year, he had 22 doubles. Let's see, yeah, 22 doubles. Let me see. He had 22 extra base hits, we'll just put it that way. 17 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs. That was what he batted. Okay, so let's take a look at his pitching record. And this is why I say all of this information is bogus that you're getting. Okay, all right, in April, we're looking at his record, all right? On April the 7th, he beat Newark of the Eastern League. Newark is one step under the National and American League. It's one of your highest rated minor leagues at that time. He beat Newark, the team, pitched an 8-hitter. Then, on the 24th, he beat Haverhill of the New England League by a 3-1 score, pitched a 3-hitter. Then, on the 27th, a couple of days later, he beat Bridgeport of the Connecticut League 5-1 on a 6-hitter, right? Then he goes on and beats a few other teams, right? Now, one of their biggest competitions that year was the Plainfield Hoboken team. They were loaded with ex-national and American League players and minor league players. Good team. So he did lose a game to them 3-2 on 6 hits. That was in May the 6th. But then he comes around and he plays Newark again, a second time, Newark of the Eastern League, and he shuts them out 4-0 on an 8-hitter. All right. So we just keep on going. So that in the month of April, he did not lose a game. He pitched 5 times. In the month of May, he lost 2 games, but he pitched 5, 6, 7, 8, pitched 8 times. Okay. In the month of June, he pitched 5 games, lost 1 game to Trenton. That was on June the 19th. Okay. Then we come to July. Okay. In July, he pitches 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games and loses 1 game to Lynn, Massachusetts, which also was stocked with American and National League players. That's some of their best competition. And these guys played them harder than the Brooklyn Royal Giants, who they're giving him credit for. Okay, so that's in July. And now we're into August. Now I have to mention too, the reason Dan McClellan had fewer innings than Emmett Bowman and Ruth Foster is because, first of all, the records are missing for a couple of games, and I'm thinking that he pitched, but I just couldn't prove it. The other thing, his father died that year, and he had to leave the team to go home to take care of some personal business. So he ended up with less innings than Ruth Foster and Emmett Bowman, who were there the entire season. So just want to preface that too. So now we're in August, and he pitched 5, 6, 7 games, had a no decision in 1 game because he came in relief, but he lost 1 game that month, and that was in Atlantic City, lost it 6-5, lost by a run. Now we're into September. He pitched 5, 6 times, lost twice. He lost to Johnstown of the Tri-State League, and that was a minor league. But he also beat Harrisburg of the same Tri-State League, right? And of course, he beat the Royal Giants in that same league on the 16th. Okay, and then in October, he plays a couple of more games. Didn't play much in October. He wins 2 more games, and he beats the Royal Giants in one of those games. Now, I'm not sure who the 4 games that they're counting against African-American teams. What 4 games do they count? Because I only show him pitching against 2 African-American teams. I don't know if, okay, well, I see a 3rd one in September. He beat the Royal Giants. In August, okay. I see he beat the Royal Giants again in August. So there's your 4 games that he beat the Royal Giants. Okay, so they're giving him 4-0. But guys, can you see how misleading this is? There's no league none at all. But they're giving him 4 wins. And when we agreed to merge the statistics, this is not what we agreed to. So guys, I'm just going to keep on telling you the real history, not this fabricated stuff that makes guys look like they're mediocre when they were simply outstanding. And so I've been pretty disturbed by this because I've been seeing it. And I know this is not what I agreed to when we were merging statistics. And so I've continued to put these books out, and this is part of my Great Team series. And I'm getting ready to do some work on a few other teams that Dan McClellan was a part of. And it's going to be the same thing. This guy's going to have almost 400 innings, probably go over 400 innings. Going to be hitting good. It's going to be playing good. So this is Dan McClellan, guys. You must understand that Dan McClellan is not getting his due. All right? And I'm going to pull up one more thing on Dan McClellan. Let me go out here and I'm going to pull up his bio, because I started to do some things like in the particular year, 1905, I started to look at some of the other pitchers that were around the league who's doing well. And when I say around the league, I'm talking about the American National League. And so who could I compare him to, right? And so I'm about to pull up some of his information here just to give you just a little bit more, okay? I'm almost there. Looking at Ruth Foster now, and look, Dan McClellan should be coming up real quickly. Come on, Dan McClellan. I see there's Charlie Grant. Boy, Charlie Grant's getting charge changed as well. There's Pete Hill. Wow. Pete Hill, matter of fact, let me look at this right quick, because all of this stuff just disturbs me. When I look at Pete Hill in 1905, when you go to Pete Hill, they say that Pete Hill had 29 hits. Guys, the guy had 209 hits. Yeah, 20. How you get 29 and then go 209? Well, I think it's time that we learn the real history about these guys, not this fabricated stuff that just doesn't give these players their true identity. Okay, so I'm looking at Dan McClellan here, and so I begin to compare Dan McClellan, okay, to another guy. You probably heard of his name. And I'm going to pull him up, if I can pull him up here. I think I had finished the work on it, or I'm still working on it. Let's see. Let me see if I got it here. No, I haven't put it in here yet. But I'm going to compare Dan McClellan to a guy that you've all heard of who was pitching in 1900. All right? And this is Dan McClellan. And boy, I didn't put his name here. Guess I'm still working. I'm down to the last little pieces of writing this book. So, but my point has been made. So I hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to say to you is that it's time for us to be real about this history. And there are people out there who are saying, how can this guy, win 20 games, or how can he win all of these games when they only played 4 games? He only pitched 4 games. They can't even understand that he pitched more than 4. And when I looked at it, I showed that Dan McClellan that year, let's see, 31. I have him with 33 victories. So their 4 victories is nowhere close to describing the ability of this man. And why should he be shortchanged? Why are his games against minor league teams not being talked about? Why is it not being cared about? Because if you're in that minor league and you go and you can find those guys pitching against each other and it counts, but they had a league. But if there's no league, why not just focus on what the man did instead of shortchanging him and not giving him his just due? So that's what I'm all about, guys. And so when it comes to Dan McClellan and a few people, I'm going to keep on fighting. I'm going to keep on telling you the truth. If you want to hear the truth on these guys, this is the place you need to be. This is the place where we fight. We fight to get these guys recognition. And so tonight is a story about Dan McClellan. And so let's see, I'm going to jump in here and see if there's anybody else that, let's see, who we got? Got somebody, let's see. We got a few people in here tonight. So I want to thank you for staying with me. And so I'm going to end this broadcast here. And this is how we celebrate a ball player like Dan McClellan. If you go online, guys, and you Google Dan McClellan, you can't, this is probably the longest dialogue that I could find on Dan McClellan online. I couldn't find anything. So we're going to have these kind of conversations about Dan McClellan and many other people. And so tonight, it was Dan McClellan. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope we all learned something. And so I'm going to close this one down. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to come back with this day in Black baseball history. So thank you guys for chiming in, and I appreciate your support. If you like what we're doing here, guys, hit the subscribe button. I'm new to this, so I'm just not getting subscribers. But hey, one of these days, I might get enough subscribers that, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll slide me a little cash. In the meanwhile, you can always pick up one of my books. And this book is coming to reprint, hopefully before Christmas. And I'm going to do something special for people who had purchased the prior edition. I'm going to do something special for you. And so you won't have to pay the full price or something just to replace the book that's already in your collection. Thank you, guys. We'll be back again to talk about somebody else, and we're going to set the record straight and tell those historians out there to quit lying to us. Tell the truth, and the truth will set you free.